What would you say if you were on this panel? What would you say? How do these opinions affect you personally, and how do you think they affect our society right now? This whole blue, red, purple pill. All kinds of topics from around the world. There is so much to learn on this beautiful planet, so many interesting videos, amazing conversations, and we're here to listen to them, to talk about them. Comment down below where you're listening from, what brought you here, and make sure to subscribe. All right, guys, I'm happy you're here. We're going to check out another clip by a young lady named Pearl Davis, and her channel, Just Pearly Things. She is big on male-female relationships and dynamics, feminism, the modern woman, so on and so forth. And she is a guest, I believe, on this panel, if you will. I believe it's called Purple Pill, the Purple Pill Pod or something like that. And they're having a quite interesting conversation that I want to check out with you. This one's called Feminist Gets Wrecked, and it's from the Purple Pill Pod conversation. Now, we'll check it out. Let's check it out together.
Have his babies by any means. If I'm on the boat with a porn star, I'm getting her out the way and then I'm leaving. I'm not going to wife her.
Where are y'all going on the boat?
It's irrelevant. What is your Cash App?
I want to know commitment.
What's your Cash App?
All right, let's forward a bit to that lady's question.
This is
No,
a
drop
genuine question.
your Cash App. You got 150.
So double standard. I have a genuine question about the red
I
pill
don't need
movement.
y'all's money, man. This is a fire show. Y'all just sub for me. Seriously, I don't want nobody's money. I'm just trying to bring content.
This
to the
is-
world.
They
Me, Just Pearly Things.
I know.
People like to donate.
I'll give you my
I
Venmo.
don't want
All
y'all's
right.
money, man. Just
I
support me
have
more.
I
Share.
have a genuine question based on ignorance because I don't know about the red pill movement that much. Okay, so this is coming from.
Have y'all heard about the red pill movement? Comment below. It's this thing right now. I only know basics about it too.
I want to learn more about what this movement is about. Okay, what is your stance on commitment on a man's perspective? Because I feel as if, again,
Okay, I gotta give kudos to her for the open questions she's asking. She is acknowledging she doesn't know much about the topic and that this is what she feels. And that's a really great way to communicate and to open the floor in a group like this or in any conversation where you're not coming in hot with this is how it is and this is what it is and hashtag facts when you're like spitting opinion. So that's already great. The little that I know, just as a side note about the pill, that red pill movement, is that in one way it could be looked at as a political thing, red and blue, right? Democrat versus Republican. But then it also could be looked at, I've read, as this reference to the movie The Matrix, where he's given the choice, the actor, the character is given the choice to take one or the other pill. One pill, I think it's the red, opens your eyes to what's really going on, to the truth, but that also comes with a whole host of obstacles and struggles, and your life will change as you know it. Or taking the blue pill and basically waking up and you're living life blissful ignorance and things continue as they were before. That's what I gather. I hope I got the colors and the pills right. And this most recent movement of the red pill movement, I think, is people, watching videos, listening to things, and being exposed to what they think is really going on out there and, shifting their mindsets in a certain direction in one or the other. But we'll see what she thinks or what she knows. Let's go keep going.
this is me just from the very little that I have seen. I have noticed that in the red pill movement, men do not seem want to commit to women. Again, now this is the one video that I saw. It was one of your guests. I don't remember his
I would
name.
agree.
Okay. One of the videos that I saw was this dude saying that a woman's does not have high value. A woman does not have high value. And a woman's prime is only between 18 to 25. And it's okay to recycle women as you get older. And so a woman, again, this is the video that I saw. The woman's worth only comes from being deemed a queen by a king. And she only
Ooh, I could see that making a lot of women mad. This idea, she just said, that a woman gets her worth from man. The king has to label her a queen in order for her to be a queen. And that it's okay for men to recycle women because they want youth. It's something that often also is said by Pearl. They want youth and a low body count, which is their word for not having been intimate with a lot of people. And that, I guess, in this movement, she thinks, in this movement, this red pill movement, it means that people can just, recycle or go for the younger. On a resource I found, mensgroup.com, the red pill is an internet insult made up of anti-feminists on Reddit. founded on the belief that society and nature favor women over men. It's a forum of men interested in exploring an ideology based solely on gender roles. Men who swallow the pill maintain that men are the ones disenfranchised. The red pill believed that feminism is damaging and cite examples to support their point of view. Okay, so it's not so much a political thing, it's more the Matrix thing. Basically, I guess, assuming that one pill would be waking up to what's really going on and the damage that feminism causes and what the modern woman is doing that's detrimental to men. And I guess waking up to that reality that men want something different or what they deserve, what they want. But she's saying, based on that video, she's gathering a lot of these guys are shying away from commitment. And this gentleman on this panel is agreeing. So let's keep going.
Gets her worth based of the last name that they get.
Shout
So
out to
again,
Sid.
in my opinion, it seems as if this man is telling men to not commit. There's no reason to commit to men if they're just going to be jumping from young woman to young woman. So again, I want to open up the floor. Can you explain to me if the red pill movement is encouraging or discouraging commitment?
It's discouraging.
Mm.
But I think purple pill is encouraging. You need to get
See? Okay, you hear that? Hear that? He's saying, yeah, that's true. That's shying away from commitment. You need the alternative, the purple pill. I like that, the way he's communicating that you need to take the alternative, presenting the possibility that there is an alternative. And I like that, because whenever we're talking extremes, and even just speaking of the basics here of what I'm finding online, it sounds like extremes. It sounds like we're going to find some weird stuff on either side of the spectrum. And I like this thinking of going, wait a minute, maybe we can take something else. Let's do the purple one. Real quick, also Men's Group says that these red pillars believe that men and women are different in terms of evolution and should submit to gender roles. So women raising a family in the home and being available for sex for the men, and the men going to work and provide.
get
That's
you a
why I'm
blue-
here.
You need to get you a blue pill or a purple pill guy. Don't get a red pill guy.
I think that it's kind of both, right? So red pill is like knowing your reality, right? So like obviously we're aspiring to be multimillionaires, right? A lot of men are comfortable within their realities, right? So they're doing their 9 to 5, they come home, they satisfy their wife, right? So if that's your reality, right, don't allow your wife to take advantage of you, right? For us, we're going to continue to do our thing, right? So we're committed to the woman that we're with, right?
Mhm.
But also as we build ourselves, obviously we're not.
He's proposing the alternative, and I think that's very eloquent and educated of him. There are people out there fine with the 9 to 5 and their status quo, but he's pointing out they're aspiring to certain things and they don't want to be stagnant. And I do think that that's a healthy middle, right? If we women don't want to be told how far we can go and the sky is the limit for us, or we want it to be, the same thing goes for men. And in a society, we'll often find these double standards, or at least the way that the media would present it, where there's these double standards where a woman is will want to be able to do it all, right? Have the kids, have the family, have a loving and loyal spouse, but also still be attractive and not pleasant to the world and have her career and reach for the stars. But then we want to tell men, oh, you don't get to have a say in this category because you're not a woman. And that is getting messier and messier because now, I'm hearing they want to change the dictionary definitions of what a woman is. Interestingly enough, I don't find, but that could also just be what I've seen so far, I don't find a whole lot of issues the other way around. Women trying to be men. I'm seeing a whole lot of struggles and issues with men trying to be women, right? Them going into locker rooms and saunas and in women's sports. I'm not hearing, again, it could just be that I'm not seeing it. It's not being fed to me with the algorithms yet. I'm not seeing a whole lot of women trying to be men and men going, oh, hold up. And that's kind of one of those things I feel that shows the differences between men and women. Though there's exceptions, there are some basic differences. Not just speaking biology and body parts, but I'm speaking in general behaviors in many societies across the board, where if a woman wanted to be a dude, I don't see many men going, oh no, don't, join our sports. Don't compete with us. You'll have an unfair advantage. I could see them being like, okay, good luck, try. Because physically they will probably not have an advantage and they'll have to work really, really hard to even compete in the men's sport. Or if a woman wants to claim she's a man, if she hasn't had any surgeries yet, I could see men being like, all right, come on up to the locker room. We don't mind you coming into our locker room at all. If she's, not had any, I like his approach because it's really saying, I want to aspire to something, but that also doesn't exclude the possibility of being loyal to the woman that I'm with. One doesn't have to exclude the other.
Mhm.
If that answers your question.
So
I
I
feel
I
like okay, go ahead.
To answer your question, I would say that the red pill discourages men from getting married because men get a bad deal today.
I was
They
just
get
about
they
to
get
say
they
that.
get they get a contract that women are paid to leave.
When she says they're getting a contract, the women are paid to leave. I think from based on a few other things I've seen, she's implying that from a percentage standpoint, and I don't know how accurate those statistics are because statistics, can get messy. If the case study wasn't done right, it always depends on who you asked, how many people did you ask. The more ground you cover, obviously, the more accurate your percentages are going to be. But supposedly, more women initiate the divorce than men do. And so I think what she may be saying here is women are being paid to leave because they'll often get the children and child support. If they were married, they'll get the alimony, and they leave because they have other opportunities now. And the men get the shorter end of the stick because they have to pay up all these things I just listed, and they're now left working their butts off to pay this woman and the children. And the woman is getting some of these advantages according to those, that mindset. And so, yeah, I think that's what she means when she says they're getting paid to leave.
And they're men value purity and youth.
Mm.
And the average age of first marriage in the US is like 28, 29.
Mhm.
That's not young anymore.
Mhm.
And that's not pure. How many bodies you got by 28, 29?
Mhm.
And so it's like they're
On average, ma'am.
accumulating all of the risk, and what do they get out of it?
It's interesting to watch the lady with the blonde hair, how she's reacting. She's like, only one. By that age, I've only had one.
They don't get a virgin bride anymore. So it's like
They
they're
really
they're looking at the costs and the benefits, and they're just saying, you know what?
I wonder why that teary-eyed. Is that her way of going, oh, I've been lonely, nobody wants to do me? Or is this more of a, oh, boo-hoo-hoo to the conversation? I don't know. You can tell there's a little bit of that defensiveness and feistiness, and we're going to get into that psychologically. What I want this channel, by the way, our channel, to provide is more practical takeaways. Now, a lot of these are clips, so they may very well get practical and applicable for day-to-day life. I don't know. But a lot of these clips that are going viral that I see are talking about the what and the why things are the way they are, but I'm not hearing a whole lot of what now, right? I could see a lot of women getting defensive about these movements because, and I'm not going to give away too much yet, but psychologically it taps into our existential fears. That goes for men and women depending on the topic. And for me, my question would be, well, what now? Practically, what do we tell men and women to do now? So I want to get into that, and we will over the course of time. But her behavior, her mannerisms definitely show a little bit of that, either defiance to me or a little bit of that defensiveness. And of course, these are all speculations and assumptions. It also makes you wonder, why is she feeling the need to point that out? Perhaps because she does take pride in that. Perhaps because she is trying to let the gentleman here, if she is heterosexual, the gentleman here know, I'm pure and youthful.
We're not really getting the things that we want anymore, so fuck it.
and
Okay.
I'm sorry, all the
Earlier they said you want to date
housewives.
children.
Uh-huh.
They said purity and youth. Y'all want to date children.
I mean, all the
guess.
And
wives.
that makes no sense. Somebody commenting in the panel, I guess people can live comment, to say that purity and youth equals a child, that's what showcases that why society is messed up. If the only people group that have purity and youth are kids, that might exactly be pointing out where the issue lies. If we think that purity and youth and valuing intimacy with one partner and not going all over the place is equal to a child, then we might say, why? Why did we start thinking that being an adult means the opposite? Just saying.
Wives in my life, their husbands don't even come home to all the housewives. I feel like husbands don't even come home to a warm cooked meal. Like
In Brazil,
they're
do.
eating leftovers
Oh
from the
my
night
gosh.
before. But like you said, I feel like
This is interesting. I have to admit, I am Cuban and German, born and raised in Germany. So for me, I learned a lot of the basics at home and in school. Even in school, there's classes on cooking and sewing and household and those things. And you could pick either that or technical stuff and, more of that stuff. And interestingly enough, at that point in time, it was mostly boys in the technicality class, and it was mostly girls in the household cooking and whatnot. Percentage-wise, that may have changed, and maybe they even changed the options now to where you can learn both. I don't know. But what's interesting is that culturally that was normal to learn and do. And during college, I was at a college that was very international, people from all around the world. I remember hearing the stereotypes that American women often didn't know how to cook and clean. And I took pride in the fact that I did. And I did feel like that brought more value to me on the market. And coming to the States, now living here, born and raised in Germany, half Cuban, half German, coming to the States, I do see other people out here that do know how to cook and clean. And now it depends on the person, of course, and how much, of course. But it's interesting that she's pointing that out, because that was my perception about American women, having been born and raised in Germany. And I understand that's a stereotype to a degree, though. And then him pointing out in Brazil, they do know how. And that could explain why some men are sometimes drawn to other cultures, because men do value that. And I could see that making many women angry, right? Why do you have this? Why am I not enough? Because who doesn't want to be loved for who they are? But we forget that, yes, we are loved for who, pardon me, we're loved for who we are. But what we do matters, right? I mean, doesn't that go vice versa? Don't we women also want a man that can work, right? No matter how cool of a personality he has. No matter how cool of a personality he has, if he's still living in his mama's basement or doesn't know how to keep a job and provide for a family, to me at least, that makes a man much less attractive. So while I could see women being like, why should I have to? And I want to, be loved for who I am. I want to have the right to be a career woman. We don't get to tell people what they should like, just as much as we don't want men to tell us what we should like.
Leftovers from the night before, but so like you said, I feel like men are realizing that they're getting like the shit end of the stick, and it's just kind of like it's not that they never knew their worth, but I feel like men are leftovers
Oh
from the
my
night
gosh.
before, but so like you said, I feel like men are realizing that they're getting like the shit end of the stick, and it's just kind of like it's not that they never knew their worth, but I feel like men are actually stepping into like a phase where they're like, I know what I bring to the table, and it's like,
Your fertility rate, lowers as you get older, right?
Oh my God. That's
I'll agree.
Right. So the older you get, the less likely you are to obtain a man. Most likely because a man is looking for a woman that can give
He's
him kids,
hesitant-
right?
He's
That makes
hesitant
sense,
to
right?
say it.
So
I
Depends
feel.
on what they are looking for. There's other guys out there that don't want kids.
That's true. There's some, but I think many do. I think many men want some type of family or some type of nurturing element.
Most men look at the woman, oh, me and this woman compatible. What's our kid gonna look like? Where are we gonna go going forward, right? So moving forward from that, right? That's what that clip meant, right? 18 to 26 or whatever that age range means. We're not saying women after 26 are worthless. What they're saying is 18 to 26 is that optimal range. You find a woman that has less bodies, is still fertile, and you can build a life at a young age rather than trying to, have a woman like yourself. No, not to come at you or anything. You already have your core values. You've been
This is an interesting point. It's not just about body count and how many people have you been with. At a certain age, it's hard to change. That's why they say you teach kids young. When you want to learn a new language, when you want to learn a skill, the younger the person learns, the easier it is to learn. It's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, they say, right? So I think it's valid to say you've been established. When you meet somebody and they're already 30, 40, 50, chances are they're set in their ways for the most part. And that goes both ways, though. I mean, women, I think a lot of times, this is me generalizing, but I think sometimes you have women who go into a relationship thinking they can change the man, and we forget the same thing. They're set in their ways, and that goes the other way around, too. So I don't think it's unfair to say at a certain age it becomes less appealing to a man, because it's going to be harder to this is going to sound bad, but mold her, which we all want. We all want to be able to influence the other person and find a way to meet in the middle, to learn each other's love languages, to learn each other's needs, right? I mean, who doesn't? Not that we're trying to change the person and manipulate them into being our puppet. Some people might want that, and that's a whole other conversation. But we want we want to mold together. We sharpen each other. We want to grow together. You need to have someone that's willing to grow.
you've been through your men. You don't want to tell us your body count
So you're
because
saying that you want to groom women? You want to groom them
the
at a
difference,
young age
the
and
definition of
impregnate them and not commit to them?
the
Is that what you're
definition
saying?
Okay, and this is where the defensiveness is coming in. Understandably, this is hard conversations. These are hard conversations, but this is not about grooming. Grooming is, to me at least, implies this idea of manipulating, getting someone to do something you want them to, particularly a minor. He's referring to 18 and up. Now, 18 is still very young, but these are adults. And wanting to influence someone, wanting to teach someone is not a bad thing. We women do it all the time. We tell our men what we want, what we wish ourselves, how we want to be loved, what we need. I mean, goodness gracious, society in general is constantly influencing men, right? Even when it comes to the over-sexualization of ourselves. I've had a heated conversation even with my husband where I was talking about men controlling a lot of that, and he pointed out that that's also a lot of women. And I got defensive at first because I wanted to just look at it from the lens of, no, it's men controlling the fashion industry, men controlling what we're supposed to wear and look like, and all this crap that has just been ruining society, and men and women and values and loyalty and lust and perversion, confusing everything. But it's not just men pulling all the strings. We women and the way we present ourselves contribute to that. Men, and I'm not talking about human trafficking right now, human trafficking, sex trafficking, and rape, where really there is oppression and it's predominantly men abusing and using women and children and all the horrors that come with that. I'm not talking about that oppression. I'm just talking about regular fashion, billboards, strip clubs, pornography. A lot of that, if it's not human trafficking that's involved here and forced labor, a lot of that is choice. People going to these places, women going, dressing a certain way, doing certain things for a living, and we're reinforcing that cycle. We're feeding into that cycle. So we women have a responsibility too. And no, I am not saying if a woman gets assaulted, it's her fault because she wore something inappropriate. Nobody should ever step over that boundary. Our boundaries have to be respected. But it's both and. The woman should never be blamed for being raped, right? Someone overstepped into her boundary in her bubble and took something by violence and force without her consent. Never okay. But on the flip side, as a society, we can't go around, I can't dress a certain way and then condemn you for looking at a certain body part, right? I mean, that would just be hypocritical. If I presented myself a certain way and I go, how dare you not look into my eyes, right? It's on display. Naturally, we're going to influence and we're going to manipulate and we're going to groom, to put it in her words, to get people to either buy a product, to give us money, to, or in a more wholesome sense, to do what we want and what we care about. Women do it all the time, but that's not grooming to me.
The definition of grooming is somebody that's under 18 that you're trying to,
You can groom someone over
you
18.
cannot groom an adult.
Yes, you can.
How do you
No,
groom an adult?
that's
No,
manipulation.
that's
That's a different
Manipulation,
topic.
narcissism.
Gaslighting.
narcissism.
That's their decision. Though.
Excuses.
The gaslighting is a different topic. And to me, sometimes we got to be careful because words do matter. While they're overrated, they're also underrated. And we can't just change meaning all the time because how are we going to communicate? If this is a flower now and an elephant 5 seconds later, and because you feel like it, now we're going to call it a kahuna mahau. Yeah, that's a word now. A kahuna mahau. I don't even remember the word now, right? How are we going to communicate if we cannot decide mutually on what this is? And if it's going to change based on feelings, and my hair looks wild, by the way, based on feelings and whatever new whim, right? The words do matter. And that's an issue too, but I don't want to go too far off topic. Every one of us, I have learned during my psychological training, has characteristics of personality disorders. You might have one person that's more selfish, another person that struggles with certain pride or insecurities. We all have some type of characteristics that are not healthy, that need to be worked on. But when we're talking an official narcissist, there's a list of diagnosable by a professional, they need to be diagnosed, characteristics before we can say this person is officially diagnosed with this disorder. And nowadays these words are used, and on one hand it's helpful that more awareness is being raised about gaslighting, narcissism, but just because someone has narcissistic traits or behaved a certain way at a certain point doesn't mean they're officially a narcissist. At least not in the medically diagnosable, the DSM-5 sense of the word. It does matter. And I think sometimes we throw those words around and they're all used interchangeably. I think things get really confusing and hard to communicate and learn when we don't figure out a common ground there. And I'm with Blue Durag over there on that matter.
No.
Excuses.
They're not a
No,
minor.
it's just facts.
They're not a minor.
I think that's
anymore.
an easy way to get
always-
out of
no,
something
it's-
by saying
So you can't manipulate
excuses.
someone at this table right
Women-
now. I can manipulate someone.
Women
so can
always
you.
want to be
You cannot
victims.
manipulate
It's like
women.
you're not a victim.
I would love to
If
try.
You're not a
And
victim.
you would have a very hard time.
Even in this
Well, hey, I like a
conversation,
challenge.
you wanted to be a victim with a guy
No,
you
you
slept with
wouldn't like
twice.
Okay.
Whatever.
Whatever makes.
Those two, I'm sorry, I'm not even paying attention to what Pearl said, but the blonde and the other guy, she's like, I love a challenge. I'd love to try to manipulate you. He's like, you'd have a very hard time. No, you wouldn't. And I do say, And then it's just ego, right? Fighting. Goodness, I've been there, done that. What's Pearl saying? She's saying what? It's excuse.
Manipulate someone
Women
so can
always
you.
want to be
You cannot
victims.
manipulate
Like,
me.
you're
No.
not a victim.
I would love to
If
try.
You're not a
and
victim.
you would have a very hard time.
Even in this
Well, hey, I like a
conversation,
challenge.
you wanted to be a victim with a guy
No,
you
you
slept with
wouldn't like
twice.
Okay. You want to be a victim with a guy you slept with twice. I think basically trying to say you're not a victim if you keep making the same decision. You chose to sleep with somebody. You're not a victim anymore. You making that you made that choice not only you made more than once.
Okay. Whatever
That's
whatever
her
makes you
personal-
happy. You can't.
Allowed to.
He took ribs out of himself so that he could do
This
this.
is weird.
This was like
I
in
have
the
a lot of
90s.
So why is it in 2022 that we allow grown women, to say that they've been manipulated and all of this? I saw this earlier when he made a comment and you're like, "Oh, so we're allowed to do this, right?" To you, right? You're like, "Oh, we're saying that this is
Okay, I think what she's talking about here, and I don't know if I would use the word groom, is when you're manipulated. You have someone who may be really officially diagnosable narcissistic, a narcissist or some other personality disorder, and they're playing games. And it's a fellow adult that these games are being played on. Yes, adults can be played. Yes, adults can be fooled. Yes, adults can have their heart broken, can be lied to, can be abused and betrayed to the point that it's like, I had no idea. I had no idea this person was capable of this. We see that all throughout history, right? I mean, where a family member ends up murdering someone and family members are like, I would have never thought. I didn't ever think this person was capable of this. Or you name it, any scenario, right? Things happen where people will surprise us with horrible choices, or where adults can be manipulated and played and they end up doing horrible things for this person out of love. No, I would argue it's not love, it's codependency. But I don't know if I would call that grooming. And at this point, it's also tricky because she even says herself, this person knows what was going on was wrong. Though there are really highly manipulative and evil people that make horrible choices that are hurting other adults, at the same time, we adults have a responsibility. If I know that this person's hurting me and they are able to have so much power over me that I'm now making bad choices and my life's going south, while this person is at fault for manipulating, playing games, and abusing my love or infatuation for them, I'm an adult. I have a responsibility. And at some point, I'm not just the victim, right? I am a victim to whatever they were playing and doing with me. But if I know what's going on and I see the red flags, I'm still the one doing the enabling. I'm still the one saying, yes, I'm going to give you this power over me. And yes, it's hard to break free from that. If you've had a broken childhood and you've learned to be codependent, you're looking for love in the wrong places, and you got sucked into another player as a manipulator, evil person, toxic relationship, sure, it's hard to break those patterns. And you are a victim in the sense of that broken childhood, that broken life led to more brokenness. But that goes for all of us. A lot of times, even the abuser had some crazy past and hurt people, and now it's this cluster fudge of just brokenness and toxicity. As an adult now, I still have a responsibility to do the hard work, and it is very hard work to break those patterns, to become aware of my enabling and my codependencies, and to say, no, enough. We have a responsibility, and if I keep choosing bad friends, I have a responsibility now. I cannot keep, even though there's still hurt from the things my parents may have done and from the things that were done to me when I was a child and I didn't have say, even though that still hurts and I may still grieve over it at times, I now have a responsibility to do the hard work to not repeat that towards my children and to break out of that cycle. And I can't keep using what my parents did, for example, as an excuse now. Now I know better. Then I didn't know and I suffered the consequences. Now I know. And yeah, it sucks. I have to get out of this pit and do the hard work to not repeat the cycle and break free, but I'm an adult. I have that responsibility, and that goes with anything. We're gonna break there. Interesting conversations. I'm looking forward to exploring more of the Purple Pill Pod and seeing what they say and comment on some of their content. But I may actually even subscribe. What did you think? Let me know in the comments below. What did some of this evoke in you? I want to get really psychological. What did this evoke in you? What type of things came to your mind? What would you say if you were on this panel? What would you say? How do these opinions affect you personally, and how do you think they affect our society right now? This whole blue, red, purple pill. Let me know in the comments below. As always, like, share, subscribe.